Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today this afternoon. The topic is trends in the mortgage market. So I can't imagine four better individuals to have this conversation with than you all. So thank you for joining us. Sarita, if you don't mind, I am going to start with you, one of the longest tenured supporters of NAR. Let's give her a round of applause. Sarita, what current trends in mortgage lending are particularly influencing the services offered by Chase to Latino homebuyers, and how does Chase adapt its offering to meet its demographic needs?
Well, I will tell you that, first of all, the demographic trends are the first things that we look at because they're always evolving and changing, but definitely making sure that we stay abreast of what those trends are. Whether it's relative to down payment assistance, financial literacy, cultural marketing, whatever the situation is or whatever the need is, it's just making sure that we stay abreast of those specific needs and making sure that we have the tools and resources in order to support those needs. If we don't have those tools and resources, then it's important for us to make sure that we are partnering with NAR and others that have a stretch and a reach in those communities and with those customers so that we can continue to evolve and become as a lender organization. And I think, at the end of the day, I think the last question that you asked, just really around like what things are we doing in this particular space? We are doing a lot of great things. I don't think, as you listen to all of the panelists, I don't think there's a lot of differentiations, particularly around product offerings that we have. Some of us have other things, grants, special purpose credit programs and things of that nature that we've created, but not a lot of differentiation, just a lot of focus and dedication on making sure that we're leaning in to make sure that we are present and able to serve the Hispanic Latino customer when, where, and how they want to be served.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarita. Fernando, Altera Home Loans, recognized as a leader within Latino home mortgages. What emerging trends are you seeing in mortgage lending, and are you observing that particularly benefit Latino homebuyers, and how do these trends influence their home buying experience?
Yeah, even going back, 2 or 3 years, I think the resurgence or the emergence of the ITIN program in the past, where a realtor would try to put in an offer and try to get an offer accepted with an ITIN, the receiving party wouldn't necessarily understand what the ITIN program consisted of. And over the last couple of years, through programs like NAR and community education, we've been able to educate everybody and let them know what an ITIN program is, and they're having a lot easier time getting these offers accepted. So again, you mentioned earlier, we're one of the industry leaders in Latino lending and ITIN products. And for us, we've seen a huge uptick in ITIN products.
Yeah. Brian, you are a little different. You're on the wholesale side of things, right? I mean, how can you explain how United Wholesale Mortgage is addressing the specific needs of Latino borrowers through your wholesale channels?
Yeah, they're similar to what Sarita said. There are many different ways. The two that come to the front of my mind are product expansion, product availability, and then home affordability. And what I mean by that is, product availability, making sure that we're putting, Latino borrowers in the best possible product. 10 years ago, you saw, nearly 50% of all of those transactions being FHA transactions. Looking at first-time home buyers in 2023, Latino borrowers made up over 50% of all first-time home buyers. So what can we do to make homeownership more accessible, coming out with diverse products? A great example of that is a 0% down conventional program where we give the borrower $15,000 towards their down payment, and then we can customize a mortgage directly to that specific person's needs, putting them in a position to succeed. And then from the home affordability standpoint, that's been the biggest, most pressing challenge in our industry over the last 3 or 4 years, is that homes have never been less affordable. And we've put a big emphasis on how can we maximize consumers' affordability. HMDA data from 2023 just came out 2 weeks ago, and they found that the average consumer saved about $10,400 by working with a broker in the wholesale channel, because lenders are competing for their business, and that consumer is the one who saves. And what we like to do is illustrate that as an impact to their direct buying power. And what we have found is, on average, the consumer can qualify for about 8% more. Same exact borrower, nothing changing in their circumstance by working with a wholesale mortgage broker. So rather than buying a home for maybe $450,000, now that borrower is able to go out and buy a $500,000 home. They're much more likely to get the home they actually want, and it puts them in a position to succeed long-term financially from an investment standpoint. So those are just a few of the things we're doing.
Yeah, and as we see prices continue to rise, obviously more buying power is so important. Camilo, what we were talking about, Brian just talked about different products. What innovative products or services is Rate developing to better cater to the growing needs of the Latino community?
Thank you, Joe. First of all, buenas tardes, familia. NAR, ¿cómo están? Aprendiendo? This conference just keeps getting better and better.
That's right.
And as I look at the title, Trends Impacting Mortgage Lending, we cannot talk about trends without talking about technology. Right? At Rate, we actually here 2 years ago, we rolled out our language access program, which was the country's first end-to-end full mortgage experience in Spanish. And for all of us here, we know for decades the industry was saying, no, it cannot be done. No, you cannot do disclosures in Spanish. No, you cannot do the technology. And when we came here and rolled it out 2 years ago, it was kind of like, maybe it's not going to work. Maybe Latinos, mis clientes, they have to meet in person. It's not going to work. And there was a lot of hesitation from the industry about the success. Just today, this morning, we announced in our press release that we surpassed 10,000 applications for the digital mortgage application fully in Spanish. And so, thank you. And that's a trend. Technology in Spanish. It's accessible. It's been a huge impact for us and a component from our volume growth, our sales force growth, and it's leading into other products right now. But the digital mortgage application, the full process, end-to-end, is a trend. And now, with 10,000 mortgage applications, it's officially a trend.
That's terrific. It's terrific seeing how, as you mentioned, the transition to almost a fintech company, essentially, right, with G-Rate?
Yeah, it's part of the name change, the evolution of Rate. Yeah, and I mean, I think since we've always been a tech-forward company for a long time. We've been pioneering with AI. We were doing AI like 4 years ago before people started doing it. And that's part of the other products that we're bringing in where we were, with AI, we have products like same-day mortgage, for example. It's hipoteca hoy mismo is exactly what it sounds like. Somebody applies online, that same day the AI technology recognizes whether instead of going through an old process, they go to an underwriter. The underwriter immediately calls that borrower and right there and then approves the loan. We're getting clear to closes in a matter of a day. Clear to closes. It's obviously minus the appraisal and title and some components. What we've seen from that product, same-day mortgage, we've cut closing times by half across the board. And now 70% of our mortgages on the conventional side are qualifying for that product. And how that impacts the Latino community, for example, it's speed. It's speed. All the realtors out here, you know how important it is to close quickly, how important it is to get your offer to stand out. When you can close quickly, it's going to stand out.
That's terrific. Brian, just going back to you real quick, as far as being a wholesale lender, you talked about the partnerships a little bit and how local brokers can help save money. What do you see as the wholesale lenders' service there in diversifying communities and especially Latino homebuyers?
Yeah, I think, a big part of that is our superpower is, that we're local to their community. So even though we're the largest mortgage lender in the country, we fund more loans than anyone else. We've been the largest purchase lender for 7 years running. Our partners, our 40,000 plus independent partners are members of their community. They're family members, maybe go to their church, they're a part of their community. They're the ones providing the customer service where they get this scale and efficiency and technology of the largest lender in the country. So, our average time to close is right around 12 days, where the industry is at 47. So they're able to use our experience to help that borrower provide the best possible loan for them. And then our focus and energy is around how do we make that process, faster, easier, and cheaper. How do we take that $10,400 number from last year and turn it into $12,400 for next year? And one way we found just recently was, a couple years ago, is through the title process. How can we lower title costs for the consumer? We were able to eliminate the owner's title policy internally by rolling out Track, where we're using technology to fully eliminate that, saving the borrower on average about $2,000. Where now that number from $10,400 grows to $12,400. And at the same time, they're getting to use the economies of scale that we provide by being the largest lender in the country while working with somebody who's a local small business owner in their community. It's really the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I can imagine that's music to people's ears here. You have obviously a room full of entrepreneurs, and being able to get that support from someone like yourself is amazing. It's terrific. Thank you. Fernando, what are some of the unique challenges you're seeing when serving the Latino market, and how is Altera Home Loans working to overcome them?
Unique challenges. I wouldn't necessarily call them unique challenges to us. The Latino consumer is inherently going to bring unique challenges to all the lenders. I think we're more immune to it because 90% of our originators are Latino, 80% of our staff is Latino, and we've recently transitioned our entire operations to Guadalajara, Mexico. So we're doing...
No cheers? So surprised.
Yeah. And we're doing our junior processing, our LOA work, lock desk marketing. All that is happening. Our media team, which is here today, all that's happening in Guadalajara, Mexico. So when the typical challenges that you see with the consumer are some of the language barriers, that all disappears because we have a team that is fully bilingual and prepared to serve the Latino consumer.
And not only the front lines, right? You're talking about anyone that touches that mortgage is
correct. Yeah.
Latino and speaks Spanish and understands the community.
And not only understands it on the loan level, but I think that the last time we looked, 80% of our originator staff are first generation homebuyers themselves. So they understand what it's like for that consumer to buy a home for the first time.
Beautiful, beautiful. Sarita, just coming back to you here, just wondering, how do you see Chase utilizing technology to streamline the mortgage application process on your end for Latino borrowers?
Yeah, I think that's something that we're all working on, is just trying to make sure that that process is streamlined for them. Obviously, today they can go online and apply for a mortgage online and those types of things. And so we're continuing to look at our technology as well as AI and all of those different things to make sure that we can better, serve the customer in a good way. And not only just serve the customer, but also serve our home lending advisors and community home lending advisors who are serving those customers. And so making sure that we have technology, online capabilities, AI capabilities available for all that are looking to support those who are looking to purchase a home.
So I know personally, being in the Chicago market, you know how big Chase is there. I think 70% of all Chicagoans have something with Chase. So we clearly see Chase being involved with the Latino home community. So I can share personally some success stories. Can you share some of how Chase is serving the Latino community?
I mean, and I will say this because I feel like I don't want to sit up in here and compete because I don't think we have to.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think the main thing is making sure we have a lot of successes that we can talk about. Currently, right now, we have our special purpose credit program that is in Latino communities across the country. And so obviously, when you think about those opportunities where we have up to a $7,500 grant, so on and so forth, that we can give, and that $7,500 grant is not something that the customer has to qualify. They don't have to be low to moderate income. The property qualifies for it. And so we give the realtor an opportunity to leverage our $7,500 grant to be able to capture more customers. And so, again, we have several success stories in that space. But I think the main thing that I tend to focus on with respect to success is having a full-fledged strategy, something that's holistic in scope, not just getting the customer in, but taking care of the customer throughout the process and beyond. And so I think that's important. And so when we can sit here and say that we have a strategy that focuses in on this, a strategy that focuses in on our people, a strategy that focuses in on being present within communities, and then also making sure that we have solid partners like yourselves to make sure that we're serving communities. Then we can start to focus on promotions and products and programs and things of that nature. I think far too often we spend too much time talking about products and programs, understanding that there has to be access to credit, but in order to get that access to the consumer, you got to have an infrastructure in place that makes sure that you can solve for it. So the people that you have in the marketplace, the presence that you have in the marketplace, and those partnerships are very relative. And so to me, success looks like a strategy. Success looks like consistency in that strategy, making sure that you are employing the habits necessary to make sure that you reach those goals, which is to get more Latinos, Hispanics into home ownership.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you. Fernando, Sarita mentioned, looking at the client as more than just the client, and you also touched on how important financial literacy is. In your perspective, what do you see Altera Home Loans doing in order to support that, in order to help to grow financial literacy within your community, not only with the ITIN product, but just in home ownership in general?
Yeah, typically for the Latino consumer, their first step into wealth building is home ownership. The equity that's built through home ownership, unfortunately, as we come up, there isn't a lot of teaching out of investments and all this. So their first opportunity to start building wealth is owning a home. And for us, creating programs and opening doorways for them to get into that home ownership earlier in life is our main focus. And it will continue to be our main focus for several years. Sarita touched on it, the SPC, Special Purpose Credit Programs. We have our own down. It's 1% down, no LLPAs. So if you have a credit score of 620, you're going to get the same interest rate as somebody who has a credit score of 800. So opening the doorway for home ownership at a lot sooner stage in life is what we're focused on to help them build wealth.
Terrific. Brian, let's look to the future a little bit here. What future directions do you foresee in wholesale mortgage lending, and how should the industry professionals prepare to adapt?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Looking at trends that are happening and how they can impact our business and our partners' business. That's something we've been very aware of, and we're always looking at. Like I think back, 5-6 years ago, looking at what was happening with crypto and blockchain and everyone talking about that, and our team quickly came to the realization that that wasn't necessarily going to be something that fit our business and scale. I heard you mention AI earlier. That was the opposite reaction we had 5 years ago to AI, which was how do we implement this now into our business? And we started doing that, 5 years ago when we rolled out Bolt. We're able to underwrite a loan in 15 minutes fully. They have their full approval. That's a big part of our speed. And then now the approach that we've taken is, well, how do we take AI and help empower our partners, the independent originators out there to do more business? So a product we just literally launched on Wednesday was Keep. Where we're using AI to help them keep all of their past clients, to make sure the consumer is always in the best possible financial position. We can communicate that in any language of their preference as well, back to what you were saying earlier about language specifics. And they can now use that time that they're saving to go out and grow their business, because what we've realized is that AI is not necessarily going to replace people in our industry. It's people that use AI are going to replace your business. They're going to take the business from those people that are not adopting it, because it allows you to scale your time, which is the ultimate commodity. We all get 24 hours in a day, so how can we help our partners use AI to be more efficient, more effective with their time, make knowledge more accessible? That's something we've been really focused in on as well with launching Ask UWM, where they can get an answer to any question, have a conversation, come to a resolution on an issue for a specific consumer instantly. Looking at that type of thing, how do we implement technology? We have over 2,000 IT team members. That's 3 IT team members to every 1 salesperson we have, which is really different when you look at a mortgage lender, how we're structured, and it's because we're a co-op. Our partners, they're all small business owners. They can't invest the money to necessarily compete with a Rocket Mortgage, but we can, and our job is to almost be a co-op for them, a conduit where we're going to invest that money and give them tools that they need to be successful to help support their community and their borrowers.
Have you seen some hesitancy with people trying the AI part?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you get people beyond that?
We preach it every week. We continually. We do a sales meeting for all of our partners every Wednesday, and in that we're continually delivering that message to get comfortable with it. We reward them through using those tools as well. It's impressive to be able to give somebody certainty up front, that in 15 minutes of getting a contract, you can issue a full approval. That borrower now has their income cleared. They're just waiting on the appraisal to come through, and to be an early adopter and to use it to make their business more efficient, more effective. And ultimately, we're here to serve the consumer, to put the consumer in the best possible place, and just by continually preaching the message and rewarding them for doing so, really.
It's terrific. Camila, what trends are you seeing in the direct mortgage lending that are significantly impacting the Latino market?
Well, we just talked about it as far as the the technology piece, right? I mean, in doing it in language and with the digital mortgage application, but we're going a step and above beyond that, right? So when I talked about same-day mortgage, one component that I left out was that we're making sure the infrastructure is in place so that if there is a Spanish-speaking individual that qualifies for same-day mortgage, if they're going to talk to an underwriter, we got to have a Spanish-speaking underwriter, right? And so it's making sure you have that infrastructure that you're talking about, right? So that when you go out and get the business, you can service it the right way. Looking ahead as well, as far as the technology that we implement and what sets us apart, we are looking at empowering our sales professionals, right? I think we talked about a little bit it's not about replacing with the technology, but empowering the sales professionals. We have we're huge on Power VP. It's a mobile app that we give our loan officers so that they can stay in touch, do business on basically entire lock, send loans, do it all through the power of their phone so that our sales professionals have, a better lifestyle. So we're zoned in on that, and we see a lot of success on that. And then, where we're looking ahead is how do we make sure all the technology still resonates well in language for our sales professionals, for the consumer.
Got it. So AI is here to stay, essentially, right?
Oh yeah, it's been here. It's been here since Fannie Mae and Freddie were doing automated underwriting, right? It's getting smarter.
So we're talking about technology. Fernando, I don't know if you want to touch a little bit on what Altera Home Loans is doing in the technology field there for first-time home buyers.
Yeah, I feel like we could beat this dead horse to death. It's AI, it's the apps, it's the Spanish disclosures, but ultimately technology serves two purposes, and it's number one, to increase efficiencies, and tough to say, but to reduce the cost of what it costs to generate a loan, what it costs to make a loan. So for us, two things. We're very committed to the technology we use, and we're not losing sight of it, but we're focused on educating the consumer on how to use the technology. And then the second piece is, though embracing it, not totally losing touch with the human aspect of a mortgage. So which is why we're doubling down in Guadalajara, increasing our staff down there, teaching people down there what a mortgage looks like, how it works up here, and having them connect with our consumers over here. So when our clients are picking up the phone, they're talking to a human body that speaks their language and understands the process that they're going through and can have a one-on-one conversation with a human.
So we've had a lot of discussion here about training the local lenders, your LOs, what have you. Do any of you have some training for the realtors out there to help them prepare for this ever-changing market?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we offer on-site training, every single week. We're flying out over 700 people. We have real estate agents coming in and mortgage originators, and we are covering the cost of that to help them prepare to grow their business. Understanding trends that are happening, changes that are happening in the marketplace. Technology is one part of it, but we're looking at, what changes are happening? How do we empower our partners? I know a big thing that's been taking up a lot of people's time and energy this year has been the NAR settlement and how that's going to impact their business. We've seen a lot of real estate professionals looking at lending as an opportunity to create more revenue. So we're out here pushing the messaging around, rather than going underneath a big box lender, that you're going to have layered margin on top of you and not give your borrower the best experience or mortgage from a cost perspective. Partner with somebody who's local to your community, an independent business owner, and work with them. So, we've been helping to pair our independent partners with local real estate professionals in their market that may be interested in getting into lending, rather than having them fall under the umbrella of some other lender, that necessarily will put them in a position to succeed. So that's just one of the many ways.
I mean, when it comes to training our Latino loan officers, lunch and learns, man, right? I mean, because there's two types.
Free lunch.
Yeah.
We provide lunch.
You have corporate initiatives that come from corporate, and then you're doing your webinars. We have technology like Agent Advantage that works with realtors. But at the end of the day, for our Latino community, it's empowering our loan officers to be more equipped to do in-person training, and we're seeing that in their offices. We're hosting, training sessions at corporate, and just seeing tremendous results from the education that we can provide in person.
Terrific. And then as far as, we're coming close to the end here, but as far as how do you see NAREP? Where is NAREP's place in the future here with the changing market and with technology and what have you? How do you see NAREP being a part of this for your companies in the future and the support you have for it?
I would say stay true to who you are and stay true to your mission. Because at the end of the day, I think there are a lot of lenders and banks and others that are looking for you to provide us with insights and information about the community that you serve. I think the other thing, too, is make sure that we, and I say we because I'm part of NAREP, but I say just make
You are definitely part of NAREP,
Yes.
okay?
But I would also say, too, is just, again, remember the mission and don't get out of scope of that. Because at the end of the day, it's one thing to get folks into a home. It's another thing to create generational wealth. And so when you're thinking about creating generational wealth, make sure that you're partnering up with organizations, companies, lenders, banks that can not only get your customers and your clients in, but can also be with your clients in it for the long haul. And so at the end of the day, and this is where I will talk about being a bank, because we are regulated and there are some things that we have to do and things that we do differently. So I applaud these lenders and portfolio lenders and folks on this stage for being just out the gate doing some great things and doing some great work in this particular space. But the other thing that I'm also thinking about is thinking about, you know, from a bank perspective, the fact that we provide financial needs across the board. And so not only is it just getting into the house, what does it take for you to sustain a house? And so at the end of the day, your banking, your savings accounts, making sure that you have a financial advisor that can help you and be able to talk to you along the way. And so there are a lot of different resources and things that people will need, whether it's credit cards, whether it's small business loans, all of those different things. I think the one thing that I will say, and I'll just leave with this, is that Chase can be there for you for all of those things. And so again, it's not just part of the transaction, it's about being a part of the entire gamut of financial needs that your customers will need and will likely need and for generations to come in order to establish that generational wealth. So again, just stay true to your mission and recognize it's not just about getting the customers in, it's about making sure that they can stay in those homes and making sure that they have the tools and resources to make sure that they can build generational wealth.
As far as NAREP, you know, I think we want to be, you know, absolutely focused on, we want to put the most NAREP top 250 professionals out there. That's our focus. You know, we love the partnership with NAREP. We just started about 3 years ago. We are a, you know, national premier partner. We are a partner at a regional level, and we probably sponsor over 30 local chapters. But the NAREP core mission of sustainable homeownership for the Latino community, it's not just, you know, ingrained into our language access program and our diverse initiatives. It's inspired by them. You know, we believe in what NAREP is about, and we support the journey of our NAREP leaders. So as we look at the future, you know, we're looking at, okay, out of those NAREP top 250, how many were board presidents? We're sitting on those boards. Are we supporting that leadership journey? We understand that. So NAREP is a huge part of the strategy as we continue to grow.
Yeah, I'll second that. And just from an engagement perspective, I go to a lot of trade shows, events, and you know, our actual industry trade shows happening at the same time right now. And I chose to be here because
All right. How about a round of applause for that?
This is the most engaged group. They're standing room only right now in this room. Everybody's paying attention. They're writing down notes. I love coming to this because of that. Everybody's here to help get better, serve their community. And you know, I can see nothing but great things for NAREP, our level of involvement. We've, you know, just in the past few years, we've grown our presence, and you know, it's had a huge impact on our business, and we want to continue to be a great partner as we grow. You know, we're just continually pushing that message around: faster, easier, cheaper for consumers. You know, which has been great because we've seen the wholesale channel grow from, you know, its lowest point, it was less than, you know, 8% of the market 10 years ago, now to over 27%, wow, with an aim on being at 50% by 2030 by continuing to educate everybody here in this room and your consumers about getting the best place to go get a mortgage.
Terrific.
For us, I think it's no secret, the Latino demographic is the fastest growing in the country.
That's right.
Every year that we come, the magazine puts out a number, and every year it's greater. In turn, NAREP will continue to grow in strength. In turn, Altera will continue to grow in strength, and so will our partnership. The benefit to that is, as the Latino demographic grows in communities, diversity is injected into these communities.
That's right.
And entre, you know, más sazón, más sabor, more. So for me, seeing, you know, the growth of the Latin community in these organizations, that's fantastic.
Terrific. Camilo, Sarita, Brian, Fernando, thank you all very much for your time today. Let's give them one more round of applause.